Hello, today I will tell you about a dramatic rescue that shocked the world. An 18-month-old girl was playing with other children in the yard when she suddenly fell into an abandoned well. When the adults in the house discovered this and wanted to go down to rescue her, they realized the well was only 20 centimeters wide, not enough for an adult to fit inside. Inside the well was not only dark and damp, but also at risk of oxygen deprivation. The people on the ground also did not know the exact location of where the little girl was trapped underground. Then a rescue operation began. The story takes place in Texas, the second largest state in terms of land area and population in the U.S. In West Texas, there is a city called Midland, which is one of the most important transportation hubs in the state, with economic development mainly based on oil extraction. The main character of the story is named Jessica McClure, who was only 18 months old at the time, born on March 26, 1986. Jessica's mother, Reba McClure, was 17 years old and a housewife. Jessica's father, Louis McClure, was 18 years old and worked as a house repairman. Jessica had an aunt. For some reason, Jessica's family was living at her aunt's house in Midland. Jessica's aunt ran a daycare center, and her main job was taking care of children. Due to a lack of staff, Jessica's mother occasionally helped her aunt with work at the daycare. Therefore, little Jessica often came here to play with other children. The first 18 months of little Jessica's life were just like any other normal child, and the world didn't know about her. If it weren't for that fateful event on an ordinary day that no one could have imagined, an accident would happen right in the daycare yard, attracting the attention of all the people across America. Next, we will go back in time to October 14, 1987, to learn the details of the incident. On Wednesday, October 14, 1987, from early morning, 4 children had been dropped off at Jessica's aunt's daycare. Jessica's aunt was very experienced in childcare and had a good reputation in the community. When any family was busy, they would leave their children with her. Today was supposed to be a normal day, but unfortunately, Jessica's aunt had to go out, so she asked Jessica's mother to help take care of the children. Reba was a young mother without much experience. She took Jessica and 4 other children to the daycare yard to play. There were some toys for children here. The yard was surrounded by a high fence, so outsiders could not easily enter, making it relatively safe. The young Reba was alone taking care of several children. She played with the children on the swings and seesaws in the yard, and the children were very happy. At that time, the phone suddenly rang inside the house. Reba heard it and left the children in the yard to go inside and answer the phone. A few minutes later, Reba suddenly heard a loud cry from the yard. She quickly ran out of the house to check and saw the 4 children playing in the yard were still playing normally. But she quickly realized something was wrong. Her daughter Jessica had suddenly disappeared. She asked herself, where could the little girl have gone? Keep in mind that the backyard had a fence, and outsiders could not enter at will. Just as Reba was panicking, she saw some children looking down at the ground. She went over to look and discovered a well in the ground about 20 centimeters in diameter. It was a dry, abandoned well. To prevent people from falling in, the well opening had been covered by a large, heavy rock. But now somehow that rock had been moved. Reba immediately realized that her daughter Jessica had fallen down the well. Terrified, she ran quickly into the house and called the police. 3 minutes later, sirens echoed throughout the neighborhood, and police had arrived at the scene. After understanding the general situation, the police tried to check down the well, but because the well opening was too small, they could not fit inside. So they could only call Jessica's name down into the well. But perhaps the little girl's voice was too weak, so they couldn't hear anything. Next, the police found a microphone and slowly lowered it down to the bottom of the well. Finally, they heard the faint crying sound of baby Jessica. The little girl was very scared. After confirming that the girl was indeed down there, the police realized they could not rescue her by themselves. So they immediately contacted a professional rescue team for help. With the arrival of the rescue team, the official rescue operation began. The first thing they had to do was confirm Jessica's current position in the well. Jessica's mother said the well was very deep. It used to be a water well, but was now abandoned. "I don't know how deep it is, maybe tens of meters." Through the microphone, they estimated from the length of the rope lowered down and the sound the little girl made that Jessica was at a depth of about 6.7 meters from the well opening. The girl's body was stuck in the pipe below. There might be more space and she could potentially fall further down. Quickly, news of a little girl trapped in a well spread throughout the local area. Some enthusiastic and curious residents began coming to the rescue site to see what was happening. After research and discussion, the rescue team came up with a rescue plan by digging a rescue shaft parallel to the well shaft near where Jessica was stuck. When they dug to the depth where the little girl was trapped, they would open a horizontal tunnel leading to the well shaft where the girl was stuck and rescue her. Having determined a feasible plan, the rescue team immediately brought in a large drilling rig. This was the type of machine usually used to drill through underground cable shafts. Realizing that drilling would cause vibrations, and currently Jessica was stuck in the pipe for an unknown reason without falling to the bottom, the position of the rescue shaft could not be too close to Jessica's location, otherwise the machine's vibrations could cause Jessica to fall deeper. However, the rescue shaft also could not be too far from the girl's well shaft, otherwise it would take more time to drill the horizontal tunnel. After careful research and calculation, the rescue team decided to place the rescue shaft 1.5 meters away from Jessica's stuck well shaft, and the drilling work began. However, the rescue progress was not as easy as imagined. The drill bit had only gone down 2 meters when it hit a hard rock layer, significantly interrupting the drilling speed. During that time, to ensure Jessica was not in further danger, the rescue team occasionally had to stop the drilling machine to talk to the little girl, because the machine noise was too loud for them to hear her voice. After more than 10 hours of drilling, the rescue team had successfully drilled a 76-centimeter wide rescue shaft, 8.8 meters deep. Now they needed to drill a horizontal tunnel leading to the well shaft where the girl was stuck. According to known information, Jessica was stuck at a depth of 6.7 meters. If the position of the horizontal tunnel was parallel to Jessica's position, when the tunnel broke through, the machinery could injure the little girl. To ensure safety, the rescue team decided to drill a horizontal tunnel below Jessica's stuck position. Next, the rescue team brought equipment, put on headlamps, and used ropes to lower down to the bottom of the rescue shaft, and the horizontal tunnel drilling officially began. Due to the very narrow space in the well, the rescue team could only use small handheld drilling equipment. However, the rock under the well was very hard, making the drilling efficiency very low. Additionally, the oxygen content under the well was very low, so the rescue team could not stay long. Therefore, they had to switch people every so often, which also consumed some time. A series of factors led to the slow rescue progress. Time passed, and little Jessica had been trapped in the well for 14 hours. It was late at night, and the rescue team in the tunnel was still diligently using handheld drills to open the tunnel. Although progress was still slow, there was currently no better option. The darkness made the rescue even more difficult. For the rescue team, they not only had to try to open the tunnel as quickly as possible, but also had to always pay attention to Jessica's condition. The ground team slowly lowered a thermometer on a rope to the girl's position. As the cold night enveloped them, they discovered the temperature around the little girl was dropping rapidly. To help Jessica maintain energy and strength, someone suggested sending food to the little girl. However, a doctor on standby at the scene stopped this idea. He explained that currently it was unknown if Jessica had internal injuries, so eating at this time could cause secondary damage to the little girl. Additionally, dehydration could occur within 48 hours after eating if she wasn't rescued in time, which would have more serious consequences. The rescue team followed the doctor's advice and only tried to warm the underground to help the little girl feel less cold. The process of drilling a horizontal tunnel was certainly a long journey. The rescue team needed to drill through about 1.5 meters of hard rock. At the current speed using handheld drills, they could only advance 2 centimeters per hour. According to calculations, it would take about 3 days to break through the tunnel. This speed was too slow and would be an extreme challenge for little Jessica. Not only that, after more than 10 hours of nonstop work, the rescue workers began to have physical problems, causing the entire rescue operation to encounter obstacles. After hearing the news, some media outlets had come to the scene. The rescue team took the opportunity to call for help from the community through the media, hoping that experienced hard rock drillers would come to assist. The next morning, October 15, 1987, many experienced drillers had volunteered to come to the scene to participate in the rescue. Some spectators also enthusiastically offered suggestions. One person proposed, "My son was born naturally thin but quite strong. He could try to crawl into the well and pull the little girl up." The proposal was rejected by the rescue team as too dangerous. If something went wrong, the boy would also get stuck in there. Another person in the crowd suggested throwing super glue down the well and then pulling Jessica up. Many far-fetched proposals were made, and the rescue team had not found any good options to apply. Little Jessica was only 18 months old and had been trapped in the well for a long time, but she was not afraid. She even hummed her favorite nursery rhyme. The little girl kept singing Winnie the Pooh, reassuring everyone watching outside that she was still okay. That rare touching moment was even broadcast live on television, helping Jessica quickly become a social media phenomenon. This was also how the rescue workers in the tunnel knew Jessica was still alive and in good condition. As more and more media reported on the incident, it quickly spread from Midland to all of Texas and across the country. Some TV channels even sent vehicles to the scene to broadcast live 24 hours. At that moment, Jessica's safety had touched the hearts of people all over the country. It seemed that in this moment between life and death, the little girl had become everyone's precious child. Everyone regarded Jessica as their own child. Everyone prayed for the little girl to be rescued safely. All who loved her called her baby Jessica. 28 hours after Jessica got stuck, the rescue site was crowded with people, all waiting for the result. The rescue team was still enthusiastically opening the tunnel. Jessica's father was also interviewed by the media that day. He expressed, "We will always be here until the child is rescued. We will never give up." Jessica's mother was sad and blamed herself. "If only I hadn't answered that phone call and paid more attention to her." Now for them, every second was more precious than anything. They didn't know if their daughter could be strong and persevere or not. They could only silently pray for their little daughter to be lucky enough to overcome this. On October 16, 1987, the third day since the little girl got stuck, as soon as dawn broke, everyone at the scene, including the rescue team, medical staff, geological drilling experts, and contractors, were all mobilized to the maximum to race against time while little Jessica was trapped in the well. A equipment businessman, after watching the news on TV, quickly came to the scene. He expressed his opinion to the rescue team. "I have a new type of water jet cutter. The cutter is very sharp and can penetrate hard rock quickly, much more efficient than handheld drills." The rescue team felt this option was worth trying. However, the businessman said the cutter was in Houston, 768 kilometers away from Midland, and I have called my staff there to transport the equipment by plane. While waiting for the water jet cutter, the rescue team did not give up. They continued to use handheld drills to dig the tunnel under the well. Every short while, they would lie down at the well opening to talk to little Jessica. However, the latest news was that 5 hours had passed since Jessica's last response. The little girl was no longer responding. The mood of everyone at the scene and viewers watching through live television seemed to sink. According to the on-site doctor, Jessica had been in the well for over 40 hours. The little girl may be temporarily unconscious due to dehydration, and the situation was not very optimistic. If not rescued quickly, the little girl would be in life-threatening danger. Just at this critical moment, good news came from underground. After 2 days of non-stop work, the rescue team had finally succeeded in breaking through the tunnel. At this time, the water jet cutter had also arrived at the scene, along with 3 experts responsible for operating the machine. Because the tunnel had broken through, the rescue team temporarily did not use the machine to prevent Jessica from falling further due to vibrations. The rescue team had placed a steel bar under the little girl. During that process, they again heard Jessica's faint cry. The good news spread, making everyone happy and excited because little Jessica was still alive. But the rescue team soon encountered the next difficulty. Because the horizontal tunnel was too narrow, only one person could crawl in. The task that the rescue team had to do now was to choose the right person to bring the little girl out. A paramedic named Robert O'Donnell had volunteered to go down the shaft. It was known that he was born without a collarbone and could work in cramped conditions with hunched shoulders, making him a prime candidate to enter the tunnel to carry out the rescue. The rescue team saw that although Robert was very suitable in terms of physique, they felt he did not have practical rescue experience. Therefore, the rescue team rejected Robert's offer and chose Robert O'Donnell to enter the tunnel. 45 hours after Jessica got stuck, rescuer Robert tied a mountain climbing rope from the mouth of the rescue shaft they had dug down to the bottom of the tunnel. He crawled into the tunnel, crawling forward and calling Jessica's name. Soon Robert clearly heard Jessica's cries. However, the tunnel was too narrow, especially at the connection between the tunnel and the area where Jessica was stuck. Robert could only reluctantly reach out one hand and carefully use his hand to feel for the little girl's position. Now, everyone finally understood the girl's posture. It turned out that when little Jessica fell down the well, one of her legs was bent back, while the other leg was pointing towards the well opening. The little girl maintained this uncomfortable position for 2 whole days. Fortunately, the stuck position had a protruding part that prevented the little girl from falling deeper. Robert both comforted and carefully used his hand to pull Jessica's bent leg. After trying, he discovered he could not reach the part of the girl's leg pointing towards the well opening, because if he forcefully pulled, the little girl could be injured. With her legs bent backwards over her head, in an extremely precarious position, and without food or water for such a long period of time, anyone following the incident felt sympathy and admiration for the little girl. To ensure safety, Robert had to temporarily abandon the rescue attempt. He returned to the surface and reported the situation to the rescue team. The rescue team decided to widen the tunnel opening to have more room to move. Previously, the water jet cutter had been brought to the scene. After testing, the rescue team found that the machine was indeed extremely sharp and could easily cut through hard rock. However, this was a double-edged sword. During the rock-cutting process, the cutter could also injure little Jessica. Continuing to use handheld machines was safer, but would take much more time. The hesitation and weighing of options put the rescue team in a dilemma. The rescue doctor warned that Jessica had not eaten or drunk for nearly 3 days. Her condition had reached a critical point and could not wait any longer. At that time, the little girl had been trapped in the well for 56 hours. The rescue team finally decided to use the water jet cutter to widen the tunnel opening, and the sharp machine easily widened the tunnel opening. Fortunately, the cutter did not injure the little girl. Before rescue worker Robert went down the well again, the doctor instructed him that he needed to hold Jessica's hand or foot and absolutely not let the little girl's head be injured. Next, Robert, along with another rescue worker named Steve Forbes, began the final rescue operation. First, they went down to the bottom of the rescue shaft. Then Robert entered the tunnel. Although the tunnel opening had been widened a bit, he still could only raise one arm up, almost unable to reach Jessica's leg pointing towards the well opening. He needed to straighten both of the little girl's legs to be able to pull her out. Robert applied some paraffin to the well wall to help keep it moist and soft. Because Jessica's leg had been stuck there for a long time without moving, the pain from moving her leg caused the little girl to cry out in pain. Hearing Jessica's cries, Robert could only gently comfort her. Gradually, the little girl's 2 legs were pulled by him into a horizontal position. Then Jessica was pulled into the tunnel to the rescue shaft. Robert secured the little girl on a wooden board, and handed her to Forbes beside him. At 7:55 p.m. on October 16, 1987, after 58 hours of little Jessica being trapped in the well, rescue workers Robert and Forbes had safely brought the little girl back to the surface from the rescue shaft. The breathtaking rescue mission of the 18-month-old girl returning from the brink of death moved many who witnessed it firsthand to tears. Millions of viewers watching through television screens couldn't help but burst with emotion, hugging their loved ones in celebration as if the victory was their own. Little Jessica was carried in the arms of rescue worker Forbes. Her legs and right arm were bandaged. The little girl's arm was covered in dirt and mud, and her eyes could barely open. The on-site doctor assisted Forbes in carrying Jessica into the waiting ambulance, then took her to Midland Memorial Hospital. Examination results showed that Jessica was 15% dehydrated. Very fortunately, she had no broken bones or wounds requiring stitches. However, after the rescue, doctors were concerned they would have to amputate Jessica's foot due to the leg supporting her entire body for such a long time in the well, causing gangrene in her foot. Finally, they decided to try hyperbaric oxygen therapy to avoid complete amputation, and the surgeons only had to amputate one toe on her right foot while reconstructing her entire foot. After a month of treatment, little Jessica had basically recovered her health. Jessica's parents held her hands as she took her first steps leaving the hospital. The rescue operation for baby Jessica was undoubtedly a resounding success and became one of the most famous underground rescues in history. Especially the photo of the rescue worker carrying mud-covered Jessica in his arms was deeply moving and won the prestigious Pulitzer Prize. The photographer was an African-American named Scott Shaw. After the miraculous rescue, little Jessica was dubbed everyone's child, because the hearts of millions of viewers both domestically and internationally had followed every moment of the rescue. People even sent flowers, toys, and money for the little girl. Later, the donations amounting to hundreds of thousands of dollars were placed in a trust fund that Jessica would inherit at age 25. 2 years after the incident, in 1989, Jessica and her family were honored with an invitation to the White House to meet with then-President George H.W. Bush. That day, Jessica wore glasses and a red dress, looking very cute. President Bush hugged Jessica and praised her as a strong and brave person. Jessica's story of returning from the brink of death attracted the attention of media outlets worldwide, and the little girl became the subject of many television discussions and documentaries for many years. Even Jessica's miraculous rescue was made into a film. ABC Channel made a television movie about the girl's story in 1989, starring Beau Bridges and Pat Hingle, along with many actual rescue participants as supporting characters. October 14, 1987, was perhaps an unforgettable day for many Americans, and it was also the day that completely changed little Jessica's life. The well Jessica got stuck in has been completely sealed with a sturdy iron lid. On the lid is the inscription, "For Jessica, October 16, 1987, with love from all of us." In the years that followed, the little girl had to undergo 15 different surgeries, apart from the condition of her foot and a long scar on her forehead. Fortunately, Jessica's health was completely normal, and she recovered very quickly. However, surrounding Jessica's miraculous event, there were also other unfortunate things. A few years after the accident, her parents divorced in 1990. Right after the miraculous rescue took place, the sudden fame came like an avalanche, overwhelming the young couple who were only 18 years old. Their divorce also consumed no small amount of ink from the press. After that, each person moved on. 8 years after the rescue, Robert O'Donnell, the rescue worker who had brought Jessica safely to the surface, committed suicide in 1995. He had been hailed as a hero. However, he could not return to a normal life like before. Robert's brother said that after Jessica's rescue, his life had gradually fallen apart. A few days before his death, Robert had watched a rescue of victims in the Oklahoma City bombing with his mother, and he expressed that when the mission is completed, rescue workers need a lot of help. Not for a few days or weeks, but for many years. Psychology experts believe Robert had suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, after participating in the rescue of little Jessica. Besides undergoing many surgeries, her parents separating, and her savior doing something foolish, despite many disruptions in Jessica's life, she was still protected and grew up in peace. It wasn't until she was 10 years old that she learned about the past incident by chance. Jessica asked her stepmother, "Who was the baby stuck in the pipe in the documentary Rescue 911?" After that, she learned about the shocking event she had experienced in her childhood. In May 2004, Jessica graduated from Greenwood High School in a small community near Midland. On January 28, 2006, at 20 years old, she married Daniel Morales at the First Presbyterian Church in Carlsbad, Texas, about 60 kilometers from her hometown of Midland. They met at a daycare center where she worked with his cousin's sister. They have 2 children, a boy born in 2007 and a girl born in 2009. When Jessica turned 25 on March 26, 2011, she received a trust fund including donations from all over the world. However, in 2008, Jessica's trust fund was affected by the economic recession, so it almost lost all the remaining money. She used it to buy a small house for her family in Midland. Now, the scar on her face from scraping against the well wall is still visible on Jessica's skin. But she says, "I'm still proud and honored to have these scars. My life is a miracle." 31 years after that horrifying event, Jessica is still living in Midland and has divorced her husband. She is working as a special education teacher at an elementary school for children with disabilities. Jessica has used her own story to advise young children about humility, to never forget that every life is extremely precious, that life is not something inherently given, but something that each person must always strive and fight for every day. Jessica also shared, "I don't want my story to affect my children's lives, but I will use what happened, my experiences, to teach my children about kindness, humility, and to remind them that if we try to look carefully, we'll see there are many good people in this world." Today's video ends here, and I'll see you in the next videos. Goodbye.